So not knowing anything about the SRU, my initial feeling was I didn't want to come. I didn't like that somebody had control. As a guard person, like I said, I joined to help when needed and have control of my life when I'm not needed. So here I was coming off of the mission, and I thought this is when I go back to being in charge of my life. So to be told, no, you're not going home, you're going somewhere else. I said, wait, that's not supporting me. That's not what I need. I need to go home. So I had horrible post-operative experiences where I had no control. Now the wall's fixed, so I can't manually push it out, but I also couldn't make it come out when I wanted, and I couldn't keep it in when I wanted to either. And that caused a lot of embarrassment and feeling like, how can I do anything when I can't even control my own bodily functions? Like, I'm young and I can't control my bodily functions. And I struggled with that. And it's embarrassing. You're out, and I remember one of the places that was at a Dollar General or Dollar Tree, and I just had a big accident, and then I go to the bathroom and it's out of order. So now I have to walk soiled like to the pet store next door, and I got to get home, and there's numerous occasions that we don't have to go into details about, but it was really hard on me. Like, I felt really inadequate just as a person that couldn't function. Like, a baby knows how to do this, and I can't do it. And I'm going to therapy week after week, and sometimes it would get so stuck that it wanted to come out, but my body was doing the opposite of what it should. So the harder I tried to get it out, the more I was pulling it back in, and that force was so painful for hours. I'd be up in the middle of the night, and I think I'm taking my kids to school, and then I'm locked in the bathroom in a lot of pain, and I just didn't know how I could function anything, like, much less a job, like how I couldn't even take my kids to school that day. And I just so I was having a lot of negative thoughts about what life looked like, and I was in tears, and I just felt like my life was completely out of my hands. And most of my life, I've been just such a planted person. Like, there's a lot of steps to becoming an Army aviator. And there's a lot of the same thing with being a state trooper. The application process is long and tedious. It's not something you just decide and then you get the job. I mean, I knew what college I wanted back in high school. I knew my major. My plans go years out into the future. So to suddenly not be able to see next week or next month, and to feel like there's no hope and no control, I wasn't in a good place that day or that several months. And I called the SRU receptionist, and I was in tears, and I said, I don't know if she's busy or not, but if my social worker is available, I'd like to talk to her. Going to those games just made me feel not broke for 2 weeks. And I'm surrounded by people that visually, if you look at them, they're missing a leg, or they're missing this or that, or you can't see a lot of us, you can't see our issues. You can't see my issues, any of them. But you're sharing them. I mean, I was on a rowing machine, and the female next to me also had a brain tumor. And it's like, that's not something, we're both young, we're both you suddenly share a lot. And that's something the Army normally does. You have a lot in common. But when you get pulled to a medical unit, suddenly you're not part of the mission. You're not part of the fight. You're feeling broke. You're not doing things. You feel incapable. So to be put back in a competitive, competitive spirit with fellow peers that understand you, that was something I can't explain what that meant to me. And I'm looking forward to trying out and hopefully making the team again this year. It just gave me something to look forward to, and it's another thing. I needed that. Like, I needed something to look forward to, because everything else I wasn't in control of. But now I could train for this, and I could put my efforts into something, that one little thing that I could kind of control or work towards, and that meant a lot to me. Well, it's a debt you can't repay, so you just have to pay it forward. There's no monetary amount that can... It's an emotional thing. I'll always feel very connected, because I don't think I've ever felt so supported and by strangers nonetheless. I mean, essentially they were strangers, and within days they were supporting all my needs, physically, emotionally, mentally. And on one hand, you're very vulnerable when you do that. But I realized the more vulnerable I was and the more honest I was about what I needed and what I was struggling with, the more they were able to help me. And so I quickly changed it around from that tough warrior perspective of, I don't need help and I got this and I can do my job, to, let's be honest here, I'm struggling. And they can help me if I let them know what I need. So I'll always be indebted, but not in the sense that you feel you owe, it wasn't a this for that. They just graciously and willingly did it. It doesn't feel like they're doing a job because they're here for pay. They're here because they love helping soldiers. And I felt that. And if anything, I know that for them, it would be just continue paying it forward. I genuinely just don't feel like they want something for it.